Hello everyone, welcome. I'm 3 minutes late. I had a hard time getting my camera set up. Anyway, welcome to our online Heart Healthy Nutrition class. My name is Melissa. I'm Health Aware's registered dietitian and personal trainer. Here we are, the first Wednesday of the month for our Heart Healthy Nutrition class. Thank you to everyone watching live and to everyone watching the recorded version later on. I hope that you learned something today. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, feedback in the comment section, or you can also email me if you want. Today, our topic is triglycerides, not something that we've really talked about much in this class yet. So, different topic for us. I have my notes. Let me know if you have any questions as I go through this. I'm happy to stop and answer questions. Here we go. We're ready. So first of all, what are triglycerides? If you've ever had an annual blood test from your doctor, or if you've been to our Health Aware office for a wellness screening, then you've probably heard of triglycerides. You've probably had them tested. Triglycerides are a type of fat in our blood. They come from the foods we eat. In fact, most of the fats that we eat, like butter, margarine, and oil, are in triglyceride form. Not something that you talk about much, that you hear about much. In addition, excess calories, alcohol, and sugar that we consume are turned into triglycerides and are stored as fat cells throughout the body. When your body needs energy, it releases the triglycerides from the fat cells, and a substance called VLDL, also called very low density lipoprotein, or another bad cholesterol. The VLDL cholesterol carries the triglycerides to your tissues to provide the energy. All right. Having a high level of triglycerides is associated with increased risk of heart disease, which is why this is an important topic for us to discuss, important for you to understand. So let's now kind of discuss a little bit of triglycerides versus cholesterol, because typically those are tested all at the same time. So let's kind of compare those before we move on with triglycerides. Triglycerides and cholesterol are both fatty substances known as lipids, but triglycerides are fats, cholesterol is not. Cholesterol is a waxy, odorless substance made by our liver, and it's an essential part of our cell walls and the nerves in our body. Cholesterol also plays an important role in body functions such as digestion and hormone production. Cholesterol comes from animal foods that we eat. We probably know that. But also our bodies do produce cholesterol on its own, which is why you don't actually need to eat any cholesterol. Your body makes it. Now, let's keep moving on through triglycerides. Let's talk about testing triglycerides. Triglyceride levels are usually measured whenever you have a blood test that's called a lipid profile. That's one of the tests we do in the Heart Aware office when we poke your finger. Usually if your doctor does it, you go get your blood drawn in your arm. I recommend that all adults get a lipid profile checked annually, if possible. At least every couple years. If you're younger, every couple years is fine. But as you get older, every year is really important. So that's what I recommend. The lipid profile shows your triglyceride level, which is what we're talking about today. Also your total cholesterol level, your HDL cholesterol, that's the good one, and the LDL cholesterol, that's the bad one. The amount of triglycerides in the bloodstream rises and falls throughout the day. After you eat, the levels are typically high. Therefore, testing triglyceride levels is done fasting. So when you haven't had anything to eat or drink for about 12 hours. That's why I always tell you when you come to our office to be fasting, because we're testing the triglycerides as well as all the other cholesterol. So triglycerides are measured in milliliters per deciliter. It doesn't really matter to you, but that's what they're measured in, the units. The guidelines for triglycerides are, and I actually have, hopefully you'll be able to see this. Okay, I think you can see that. You can see the reflection in the window. There we go. Okay, there we go. So the guidelines are for triglyceride levels are as follows. Normal, we want them below 150. Borderline high is 150 to 199. And then high is 200 to 499. And very, very high, very high is above 500. So ideally we want below 150, below 100 if you can. That's even more optimal. Okay, once it's above 500, we are very, very concerned if it's above 500. Typically, there's some sort of other disease process going on if it's above 500. Okay. So levels that are above 150, so again, that was in our borderline high category. Levels above 150 can put you at risk for heart disease. So that's why we really want them below that 150 marker, as low, really below 150 as you can get. What causes high triglycerides? Let's discuss that important topic. There are many factors that can affect triglyceride levels, including regularly eating more calories than you burn off, especially if you eat a lot of sugar, so excess calories, being overweight or obese, lack of physical exercise, cigarette smoking or any kind of smoking, excessive alcohol use. Certain medications can also increase your triglycerides through no fault of your own. Some genetic disorders as well, thyroid diseases, poorly controlled type 2 diabetes can also increase your triglyceride levels, or liver and kidney diseases. Those can also really affect the triglyceride levels. Now, we know what causes high triglycerides, but how can we lower the triglycerides? First, if you've never had triglycerides checked except for once and they're high, you want to make sure that your doctor does check for certain factors that could be affecting the triglyceride levels, such as certain medications, as I mentioned, thyroid function issues, diabetes, if it's poorly controlled, and any kind of liver and kidney type of diseases, like I mentioned. Any of those factors can cause triglyceride levels to be higher than normal, and those need to be addressed first. The quickest and easiest fix after you address any of those issues, if it's just a lifestyle type of thing, the quickest and easiest fix is, of course, a medication. Typically, statins are what are prescribed. Thankfully, there's an alternative to medication, and that would be lifestyle changes. I don't necessarily recommend that a medication is the first thing that you have high triglycerides, you must be on a medication. I think that lifestyle changes should be attempted first. If you're not able to improve your triglyceride levels with lifestyle changes, then the medication is where you would go next. So we're going to talk about 6 different lifestyle changes that can help lower your triglycerides. I'll read through the quick list, the bullet points first, and then we'll go into each one a little bit more detail. So the first one is controlling your weight. The second one is regular physical activity. Third, no smoking. 4, consuming healthy fats instead of saturated fats. We'll talk more about that. Number 5 is limiting your alcohol intake, and number 6 is limiting intake of sugar and refined grains. So let's go through each one of those a little bit more detail. Number 1, controlling your weight. If you're overweight or obese, just plain old weight loss can actually significantly improve your triglyceride levels, among other health benefits that exercise has. Even losing 5 to 10% of your current weight can have a significant impact on your triglyceride levels. I saw one source that said 5 to 10% of weight loss can decrease your triglycerides up to 40 points, which is significant. If you don't know how much weight you should lose, or if you need help getting started, I am happy to make an appointment with you to test your weight and your body composition and help you come up with a plan. Just let me know. I am happy to help. Number 2 factor that you can help lower your triglycerides is regular physical activity. I feel like a broken record with this one, but physical activity, exercise is so important for us. The current exercise guidelines for general health for Americans, not necessarily even weight loss, just general health, is 150 to 300 minutes per week of moderate intensity aerobic exercise. So that's when you have an elevated heart rate and a breathing rate. You could still talk to someone, but you couldn't necessarily sing them a song. That sort of moderate intensity aerobic exercise, 150 to 300 minutes a week of that. And in addition, 2 to 3 days per week of strength training exercises for all major muscle groups at an intensity level that challenges your muscles. Almost no one that I know meets these guidelines for a physical activity. Almost no one. So it's no wonder that our country has such trouble with issues like high triglycerides. Think about your exercise. Do you meet those guidelines? Very few of us do. All right, our third point is no smoking. I feel like this one is pretty self-explanatory. No smoking. In general, smoking is not good for us. That's the whole point. Smoking is not good for us, especially, of course, when it comes to triglycerides too, that we're talking about today. Smoking affects so many aspects of our health. If you struggle with smoking, whether it's cigarettes, cigars, or vaping these days, please look into quitting. It can make a significant impact on your health overall. Our fourth tip for losing or lowering your triglycerides are to consume healthy fats instead of saturated fats. I know we've had a class on saturated fats before, so we're kind of touching on that again. Saturated fats have a negative impact on our triglyceride levels, among other things. So it's recommended to switch out those saturated fats for the healthy fats. Saturated fats are found in animal-based foods such as meats, poultry, dairy, cheeses, eggs, butter, and also coconut oil and palm oil. Healthy fats that you should replace those with are found in plant-based sources such as avocados, nuts, seeds, and extra virgin olive oil. In addition, omega-3 fatty acids can help to reduce triglycerides, that specific type of fatty acid, and those can be found in fatty fish like salmon and tuna, and walnuts and ground flaxseed. It can be found in many other food sources as well as supplements. A lot of people choose to just supplement, like with a flaxseed oil supplement or a fish oil supplement. Point number 5 is limiting intake of alcohol. For some people, alcohol has a significant effect on triglyceride levels. Not necessarily everyone, but some people are just a lot more sensitive to it. Drinking in moderation is defined by the CDC as up to 1 drink a day per women and up to 2 drinks a day for men. If you drink more than that, I recommend reducing your alcohol intake, or if your triglyceride levels are very high, I recommend avoiding it completely. So 1 drink of alcohol is the equivalent of, I believe, 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or 1.5 ounces of a hard liquor, just for reference. And then the 6th point I wanted to talk about, this is the one that we talk about a little bit more because it's the factor that people find the most complicated, but it's really important to understand it because it can make a significant impact, and it's about food, which we deal with every day, right? So limiting intake of sugar and refined grains, that's what we're talking about. Sugar, more specifically added sugar, and refined grains are also referred to as simple carbohydrates. You've probably heard that before. Simple carbohydrates are digested quickly and they send immediate bursts of glucose, or in simpler terms, energy, into the bloodstream. That's why you may feel a sudden rush of energy when you eat a dessert, and then shortly it's followed by a crash of fatigue when that sudden burst of energy is depleted. Let's talk about the sugar side of this first. All sugar, even natural sugar, when eaten in excess, can affect triglycerides. We're talking about regular white sugar, brown sugar, maple syrup, honey, regular soda, energy drinks, blended coffee drinks, candy, chocolate, pastries, cakes, cookies, all those desserts, and even fruit juice, which is surprising to a lot of people. With packaged foods, make sure to take time to read the ingredients list to make sure there aren't any hidden sugars with fancy names. That happens a lot these days with our food manufacturing. So names like sucrose, glucose, fructose, maltose, and then corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup. Those are all fancy names for sugar. Okay. The American Heart Association recommends consuming no more than 6 to 9 teaspoons of added sugar per day. So that range, 6 to 9, 6 is what's for women usually, and 9 is what's for men. In terms of grams, that is 24 to 36 grams of added sugar. Just to clarify, the sugars found naturally in fresh fruit and dairy, so that'd be like skim milk or plain Greek yogurt, those are not classified as added sugars. Dairy and fruit sugar are natural, not added sugars. The sweeteners that are put into our yogurt to give them flavor and more sweetness, those are added sugars. And basically every other sweet thing besides whole fruit and plain dairy are added sugars. If you want to eat something sweet, the best choice I recommend is fresh fruit. Now, let's talk about the refined grains part of this category. So refined grains are ones that have been processed with much of the nutrients and fiber removed, sometimes all of the fiber removed. Foods that are part of this category are any items made with bleached, enriched, or refined flour, more commonly known as white or all-purpose flour, with very low fiber content. So that would be foods like pasta, crackers, bread, cereals, all of those things made with white flour. And unfortunately, white rice does fall into this category too of being a refined grain. Not all grains and starches are bad though. I want you to make sure you still do eat grains and starches, but instead of the refined grains, we should be choosing those that are made with whole grains as their first ingredient, or even as their only ingredient, like oats or barley or brown rice. There are tons of options these days for breads, crackers, pasta, and cereals made from those whole grains. So in conclusion, talking about triglycerides, I want you to know that triglycerides are an important part of heart health. They're not something that's talked about a lot though, and it is possible to manage them with lifestyle changes alone rather than needing to take a medication. If you don't know what your triglyceride level is, or if you want help improving a high triglyceride level that you know you have, I am more than happy to help. That's what I'm here for. Call me at the Health Aware office or send me an email and we can set up an appointment to go through a plan that'll work for you, kind of with these 6 factors to help lower your triglycerides without you having to take another medication. Thank you everyone for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about this topic today in the comment section or any feedback at all. If you have a recommendation for a topic you'd like to hear next month, let me know. I'll be back the first Wednesday in January for this class. Tomorrow, I will be here with strength training. So I hope to see you all then tomorrow for your regular physical activity to help lower your triglycerides. If not, then I will see you next week, perhaps for our Carb Smart class. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving.